What is up, Pats Nation? It is Patriots Global here with another video, and today we're going to talk about how the Patriots are going to replace Julian Edelman after his 4-game suspension. Before we hop into today's video, though, I do want to ask you guys if you do have any suggestions for videos, anything you guys want to see, anything like that, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and I'll without a doubt take it into consideration. This is the time of the season where it is just so freaking dry. There really is nothing to talk about. There is nothing going on regarding the Patriots. And I don't want to just make videos that I'm constantly repeating myself in. Like, for example, if you don't know what I mean like I made a video about can Jeremy Hill replace LeGarrette Blount, and say if I made another video saying what does Jeremy Hill bring to the Patriots, it wouldn't make much sense because in both of those videos I would be talking about the same things, so it doesn't make much sense there. So if you have any ideas that you guys want to see, make sure you guys leave it in the comments below. So Julian Edelman was suspended 4 games for the use of PEDs. Now, I have very mixed feelings on this situation. It was said Edelman was going to come at them with the incorrect use of evidence, but then it came out that Edelman was actually never going to do that. So Pats Nation got some incorrect information somehow, and then I'm not totally sure how they're going to suspend him when they don't even know the substance that he used, along with mishandling evidence. I don't know, to me doesn't make much sense. This is just the NFL coming at the Patriots, trying to take their weapons away in order for them to try to give the rest of the players in the AFC a chance. Keep in mind, Pats Nation, the last time that the NFL suspended one of our main guys for 4 games for circumstantial evidence, let's just remember what happened. And in case you're a bandwagon and you don't know what I'm talking about, Super Bowl 51. Tom Brady suspended 4 games, and look where that got us. It's motivation, and we'll just see where that goes. Now, I've said this before, but this low-key could be good for the Pats, as a player gets a roster spot for 4 games, and they basically just get the chance to prove themselves, and they get to prove that they need to be on this roster for more than just 4 games. Now, a huge way that the Patriots are going to try to replace Edelman is basically, as we all probably have guessed, this is a no-brainer, but Gronk. I mean, he is going to be the go-to guy for Brady, especially with now Edelman being suspended, Amendola leaving. Where does that leave Tom Brady with the players that he's constantly going to? There really is not much players that TB12 necessarily trusts. I mean, it was really Edelman, Amendola, and Gronk, and now for the first 4 games, it is just going to be Gronk as long as all is good. Well, I mean, he also does have Chris Hogan. He will undoubtedly be a guy Brady goes to, especially within these first 4 games. But besides Chris Hogan and Gronk, there is no real receiver that Brady has had for multiple years due to Edelman being suspended and, like I said, Amendola going to the Dolphins. Hogan has definitely started to prove that he has been a go-to guy for Brady, but for these first 4 games, I think we are going to see an extreme rise in receptions for Chris Hogan, and we are going to see a side of Chris Hogan we may not have necessarily seen before, and we are going to see how much Brady actually does count on him. As long as he can bounce back from injury, I don't see why Chris Hogan cannot be a big threat for defenses. The problem with NFL fans is that if a player is not a Hall of Famer, if a player is not a Pro Bowler, if the player is not talked about enough, people automatically think that the player sucks, and that is not true. A lot of people don't know who Chris Hogan is, and that's kind of sad, but he is a great player for the Patriots, and he is definitely underrated. So make sure you have your eyes on Chris Hogan for these first 4 games. Now, I just want to get this out of the way right now. I'm not including Malcolm Mitchell only because I don't know what to say about Malcolm Mitchell. Will he be on the Patriots team? or will he be on the PUP list? I really don't know. I know in an interview when asked about his injury, he said that he'll see if he plays, so even he doesn't know what's going on. So I don't want to say, oh, Malcolm Mitchell is going to be a go-to guy. He is going to be a star. We are going to see a rise in his receptions also, because chances are we might not even see him on the team. And I just don't want to be that guy that gets your hopes up for something that might not even happen. And if he isn't there for training camp and he isn't really participating, I definitely would not count him for the season, at least to the beginning. So next up on how the Patriots are going to replace Edelman is running backs. And this might be something you thought already, and this might be something that you're now like, whoa, that makes total freaking sense. Why did I not think of that? Honestly, I feel like we are going to see these running backs used more than I think that we ever have seen them before. I mean, like I keep saying, Brady does not have his go-to guys. And if Gronk is being covered, if Hogan is being covered, and Brady is not comfortable with any of the other wide receivers yet, because the chemistry might not even be there yet, because Brady missed OTAs, then he definitely is going to go to these running backs. We saw it last year how much he went, and we are going to see a rise in it, at least for these first 4 games. Now, running backs receiving the ball without Edelman and Amendola in the lineup have stats like 11.3 targets per game, 9.3 receptions per game, 95.3 yards per game, and 1 touchdown per game, and that's through 3 games. Receiving backs with Edelman and Amendola in the lineup have stats like 8.4 targets per game, 6.2 receptions per game, 52.8 yards per game, and 0.4 touchdowns through 45 games. Now, obviously, 3 games compared to 45 is a big difference, but it shows you how much that they use these running backs when Brady has his go-to guys out of the lineup. A running back I feel like we are going to see an extreme amount of on the field is actually James White. Now you might be saying, what about Sony Michel, blah, 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 what about all these other running backs? They are going to be in the lineup also, but keep in mind, we have not seen anything from Sony Michel. I don't want to say that Sony Michel is going to get more receptions over James White, because we have not seen how he does in an NFL game, so I'm not going to really say that he's going to get more, but we will without a doubt see him get some passes. But James White is arguably the best receiving running back and is very good at doing it. Honestly, he really does act like a wide receiver. And along with James White, I actually am sure that we are going to see James Devlin get a couple passes. I'm not expecting him to get a lot. Do not think we are going to see James Devlin getting 1 billion receptions now. But I think we are going to see him get a couple of receptions here and there when it comes to some short yardage. We've seen it in the past, and I think we could definitely see it again, as he is very, very, very powerful. Along with running backs in the pass game, I believe the Pats will really, really, really run the ball a lot within the first 4 games, and it's part of why they brought in so many running backs. It's because of the versatility. Ultimately, Bill Belichick is going to try to take some of that pressure off for Brady, try to get some pressure off of that arm, and try to show some different things to defenses that they might not have seen from the Patriots for a while. Because like I always say, the league is changing, and I honestly believe that the Patriots are kind of changing in some ways to adjust to how the league is changing. And I think we're going to see a Patriots team that we might not have seen for a while. But guys, through everything I've talked to, it ultimately is going to come down to how Brady does with chemistry. I mean, Bill brought in a lot of new wide receivers, and a lot of these guys are first-year players in the Patriots organization, which could actually be pretty dangerous, as we don't know how they will fit in the system or how long it will take for them to get comfortable and used to the system. Philip Dorsett is coming into his 2nd year, and he says that he's feeling way more comfortable than he did in his 1st year. But keep in mind, that whole 1st year, he wasn't that comfortable. He wasn't used to it, and he was not a great guy for the Patriots. Yeah, he showed up here and there making some pretty good plays, But we need way more than that, especially within these first 4 games. We cannot just have guys that come up now and then. We need guys to come up every snap of the game. And then you have players like Britt, Matthews, Patterson, Barrios, and other guys that are first-year players in the organization, so we don't know what to expect from them. As of right now, we basically are judging them on the little bit of notes that we got from minicamp and OTAs, and we're really just judging them from how we saw them on the teams that they were on before, which we can't really do because those teams are not the Patriots. I mean, we can kind of see how they play, but ultimately they're not going to be the exact same because the Patriots are a different team than the team that they previously played for. If these guys cannot get on the same page as Brady, then we will see a huge problem for the Pats. And a while back, I said that Brady missing OTAs was not huge, was not a big deal. It was kind of just like whatever. He wants to spend time with his family. We kind of have to understand that. And I do still stick by that. But now that Edelman is out, I really think Brady needed to be at these practices. And I kind of stress that a little bit more than I used to. I know Brady talked about having like a camp type thing for these new receivers. I don't know if that's still happening. I don't know when that's happening. I don't know if that even happened yet because I have not heard anything about that except for the one time that we heard this is what Brady was going to do. I do know that Tom Brady was practicing with Julian Edelman, as we saw a lot of footage from that. But I mean, Edelman suspended for the first 4 games, so that kind of screws us over until then. But that's it for today's video, guys. What do you think about this Julian Edelman suspension? Do you think it's bullcrap? Do you think that, it's an understandable thing that he got suspended? How do you think the Patriots are going to replace him for the first 4 games? I told you what I thought. Make sure to let me know what you think. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends as it helps me out so freaking much. Let's grow this Patriots community and get it going. I love you guys. Take care, Pats Nation.